Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I want to try out 6 fragrances from a brand that I have been testing lately called JUS Parfums. This is a brand from France, so I will try out 6 of their fragrances today and I will let you know how they smell like, how they develop and what I overall think about them. These were kindly sent to me by the brand, and also the brand guys gave my audience a discount code. I'm not sure what the discount code is, but I will insert it here on the screen, so feel free to use it if you want to shop any fragrances from the brand. So yes, I have their discovery kit here, and I also was able to choose a full bottle of my choice. And I also received a full bottle of my choice. This is what I wanted to say, and I chose Andaluiza. So something that I have noticed about this brand as I was testing it in the last few months. As a reference, I received their fragrances July, August or September. So it's been a while since then, and I got to test them in different weather conditions, and I really took my time with them. But something that I have noticed is that the brand overall, at least to me, feels very like outside the box, you know, like think outside the box. They follow their own way, you know, like they don't go with the herd, that kind of vibe they give me. They're like very edgy, kind of funky in a way, kind of like a good kind of funky, you know, very like creative, artistic. You can definitely feel the artsy part behind it. So yes, without further ado, let's just begin, you guys. And I will start, should I start with the fragrance? Okay, I will start with the one that I have a full bottle of, and the fragrance is called Andaluiza. What a beautiful name, and what a beautiful like play of words, you know, like Andalusia, Andaluiza, you know. So this fragrance, when I first looked it up on Fragrantica, because when it comes to this brand, you know how I said that usually I don't look up notes before I test their fragrances? Well, I actually looked up the fragrances from this brand before because I wanted to see what to get a full bottle of, you know. And when I saw the notes of this fragrance, they look so interesting. I will insert here on the screen the notes breakdown. You guys, you have pomegranate, which I think it's a fantasy accord. I don't think you have actual like pomegranate essence or absolute or anything like this, you know. But I feel like you have pomegranate with a lactonic accord, with amberwood, and with some other like tonka bean woodsy facets. And I have to say, this fragrance smells very, very different in a sense. It does have something that makes me think of a, I will tell you, but I will tell you when I get to that, you know. So let's just start, you guys. I ramble so much sometimes. So this one, I have actually tried it on myself. I have tried it on my partner's skin. I have tried it on paper. I have tried it in very warm weather. I have tried it now in like 1 degree weather Celsius, you know. So I've tried it in different conditions because I've had it for so long and I have worn it here and there, you know. You guys, this opens up. Do you know that when you peel a pomegranate, sometimes, like if you don't pay very close attention, like as you peel it, like the juice bursts everywhere, like in your eyes, in your face, on your hands, on your t-shirt. This opens up with that exact explosion of this very tangy, like slightly sweet, slightly sour, slightly acidic red fruity accord that honestly, they really managed to replicate the smell of pomegranate. It's like crisp, very crisp, quite bright, quite tangy, quite sweet, quite sour, slightly acidic, slightly fizzy as well in a sense. Here I feel like on paper I don't detect it, but on my skin, let's just say first 5 to 6 seconds after I apply the fragrance, not only did I get this exact pomegranate feel on my skin, and there I feel like it's even more multifaceted, even more pronounced, you know, but I also get something that to my nose smells like, you know, the vitamin C, the effervescent vitamins. Now imagine you were to make, I don't know if where you live you had this, but where I live we used to have back in the day something like a powdered juice that you were to put it in water and it would be effervescent. Now something like that, but orange flavored, or yeah, flavored, you know. But I only get that nuance for, let's just say, 6 seconds. After that, the main thing I would detect is the pomegranate for sure. It's so interesting because you have this beautiful contrast between like the acidity, the tanginess, that like sweet, slightly crisp, slightly sour feel of the pomegranate, and this very interesting, almost like creamy, fumé, woodsy, oak mossy combo. Now look, of course I will let you know how this one smells like to me, you know. I'm not gonna let you know based on the notes breakdown how it's supposed to smell like and everything. I always tell you how I perceive a fragrance, you know, and keep in mind fragrance is very subjective, but to me you have this very interesting combo. And I feel like here in this stage you don't even get the fume effect of the woody accord as much. But I'm telling you, when I tried it on my skin, especially on my partner's skin, I feel like on him it shines even more. On me the pomegranate shines more, but I feel like on him, right beside this beautiful fruity, like red fruity accord, you have this beautiful, like rich, warm, almost a little bit fume of a woody accord mixed with something that's very like ambery, but not ambery per se, nothing like Grand Soir from MFK, you know, not that type of amber. To me, the amber here adds more richness, more fullness, adds lots of warmth to the fragrance, and overall it almost feels like a little bit creamy, you know, and I'm guessing that's the lactonic accord. Now, I can say that I smell like something that like milky per se, you know, it doesn't smell like a glass of milk and you were to like, I don't know, like put some pomegranate there and you sniff it, you smell it. It doesn't smell like that. It's a very complex fragrance, you know, it's not a kind of fragrance that I feel like maybe at the first glance it looks like a simplistic fragrance. It's not, you guys. And also, you guys, it's not a linear fragrance. Not only that it changes scent-wise as it starts to develop, but of course the main difference is you will notice them on your skin. I feel like on paper you get like a slight feel of the scent, you know, but in order to truly get to feel to understand the fragrance, let's say, I do think you need to test it on your skin, clearly. Oh, but what I wanted to say is that it doesn't stay linear. It changes not only scent-wise, but it also changes texture-wise. And this is something that I've really noticed about this fragrance. So in the opening, so to put it in a few simplistic words, this is all about pomegranate, a rich, slightly fume woody accord, but not ashy, very warm, very full, and slightly fume. A beautiful amber accord done very well that adds more of a supporting role. I feel like amber / amber wood, you know, because I will give you a spoiler, but I feel like this is the more like artsy, funky, hipster-like cousin to Instant Crush, even though note-wise they are not similar, but they share the same style of ambery accord. I feel like maybe it's the amberwood there. I never smelled like amberwood in real life, you know, but I'm guessing that's the accord or like the nuance that ties those two fragrances together. But I'm telling you, because of the pomegranate and because of the way everything is blended here, I feel like this is the more funky, creative cousin to Instant Crush, you know. So you have that amberwood nuance and lots of oakmoss. Now look, it's not listed oakmoss in the notes, but I get it. I clearly detect something that smells like oakmoss. I don't know what. And also, I feel like as it starts to develop, you get this very interesting, almost like fresh green spicy feel. You know how usually like freshly grounded cardamom smells like? Imagine you get a hint of it, but it's more deep in the background. The first thing that I smell is the pomegranate, then that woody ambery oak mossy combo, you know? And I feel like the way they played here the pomegranate accord, because it's an accord, you know, it's a fantasy note. I feel like it doesn't really exist to it, but the way they played it here, it adds lots of vibrancy to the fragrance, especially in the opening. It makes it feel very, very multifaceted, very textured, you know, it makes it feel very nuanced. It's almost like when you smell it, you get all these different textures and facets to the scent, and you overall get this vibrancy in a sense. It smells somehow very colorful because of the fruity accord, and especially the way they pair the fruity accord there. Like I said, quite crisp, quite sweet and sour, quite acidic in a sense, quite effervescent a little bit, with the rich, warm, not very deep but very dense woody, ambery, oak mossy accord. I feel like it adds a lot of contrast to the fragrance, and it makes it, I don't know, I'm telling you, in the opening it just feels like an explosion. You know, this is how it feels, very, very vibrant, it definitely has a kick to it. So you guys, this is what I have noticed about this fragrance. I do love how it smells like. It smells, you guys, how to describe it? It smells modern, this I can tell you for sure. And it smells, I don't know why, but I would picture this fragrance on artists, on maybe I'm biased, I don't know, but I would picture this fragrance on people who wear lots of black in like their day-to-day lives. I don't know why I feel that way, but more like an artsy soul, you know, or like people who work in the art field in a way or another. It feels outside of the box, you know, because usually you wouldn't, no, look, to me, in my mind at least, you wouldn't really pair this, I don't know, this very like multifaceted red fruity accord, this slightly acidic, I told you it feels very multifaceted, with something like this but it feels very beautiful, and here it works and it creates something that smells so unique to me and with such an interesting development. So as this fragrance starts to develop on your skin, let's just say that that fruity accord, it's still there, it's still present, but it loses some of the undertones, you know, it loses some of the facets, it loses that slight effervescent quality, tones down completely, it loses some of the acidity, but you still get that crisp, slightly sweet, slightly sour, slightly tangy, but not really tangy, because it doesn't really make your mouth go like this, you know, but you still have it, you still have that nuance, but it's a little bit more toned down now. And I feel like what happened, the base really gets to shine and the heart really gets to shine, but not necessarily the lactonic accord. I feel like, to me, the lactonic accord, I perceived it more in warm weather. That's when it started to shine a little bit more. But how to explain, you guys? It's like you get lactonic, like texture wise, not necessarily like scent wise. You know what I mean? It's almost like the texture of the fragrance starts to feel very creamy, slightly lactonic, but it's almost like you have this nuance behind the woody accord, behind the amber, behind the oak moss. So it almost feels like it comes and it goes in waves. It's not something, it doesn't smell milky per se to my nose, but it does have a creaminess as it develops, but not just the creaminess. You have the creaminess that I'm guessing it is from the lactonic accord with the slight fume, woody feel with the amber, with oak moss. Like I said, it's quite a complex fragrance. Test it for yourself if you are interested in it. Please don't blind buy it. Please get a discovery kit in case you are interested in trying out and exploring more fragrances from the brand. Luckily, I think they have this thing. Where's my professional language? I think they have this offer, or like the possibility, that when you purchase the discovery kit from the brand and then you purchase like full bottle from the brand, I think they reduce the price with the price of the discovery kit. Yeah, if it's true, I will insert it here somewhere so you can read it in a more elevated way. So yeah, those were my thoughts about Andaluiza. I think it smells very unique, definitely a unisex fragrance. And also keep in mind, it's not very sweet, you guys. It's fruity, red fruity, to be more specific, but sweet. Yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't say this fragrance is very sweet. On me, it's more woody, with the fruitiness, of course, but it's not sweet in a gourmand way, you know, and it's not sweet in the traditional sweet type of way. So now let's move on to a fragrance. Let's move on to a fragrance made around wood and coffee. What? Yeah, I was so excited to test this fragrance. This is called Coffeeze. Coffeeze. This is called Coffeeze from the brand, and this, when you hear wood and coffee, as a wood lover and as a coffee lover, like it rings lots of bells in your mind, you know, and all sorts of questions started to come in my mind, like, oh, I'm really curious, how they did the coffee? Did they make it like a very sweet espresso style of coffee? How they did the wood accord? Did they make it overly realistic, like your Hindi style of wood? Did they make it as a rich woody feel? How is the coffee? Is it very sweet? Is it very deep and grounding, you know? Yeah. And let me say, this fragrance completely surprised me. I was not expecting it to smell the way it does, and from the start I want to say that this is not the kind of fragrance this is not for everyone. This is not for everyone. You need to have a taste for this kind of fragrances, and again, you need to test it prior. Please don't blind buy, guys. Please don't blind buy. It's such an interesting combo. You have here an oud accord that feels almost a little bit balsamic, with a smell of coffee, with lots of patchouli, and with something, I don't know the exact notes accord, the exact notes breakdown, but I will insert it here on the screen. But you have something that makes the coffee feel very deep, very earthy, very grounding. It's almost like, you know how it smells like in the opening? Imagine like you spilled some coffee, like some coffee powder in a sense, or like coffee beans even, on a soil, like on a soil in your garden, but on like a semi-damp soil, semi-wet, semi-damp, you know? And you lean in to smell it. You get the coldness, that sensation of cold that comes from the slightly damp soil. You get that slightly damp soil-like undertone. You get a smell of coffee, but the coffee, it's not your, I don't know, like Starbucks, I don't know what, espresso with like 10 pumps of sugar or caramel. It's not that type of coffee. It's a coffee that feels almost a little bit bitter. It feels quite deep, quite mysterious, quite grounding. Like I said, illegit, like if I close my eyes, I'm imagining that by mistake, I spilled lots of coffee beans on a slightly wet soil, I would lean in to grab them, I don't know, to smell them, I don't know why I would lean in, but as I were to lean in, you get the cold feel, you get the smell of coffees, but keep in mind, like I've said, it's more like your bitter espresso type of coffee. You know, it's not your overly sweet coffee. Honestly, this doesn't have much sweetness, if you were to ask me. This is more flavored than sweet, you know. You will get the smell from the earth, you get slightly something green as this one starts to develop the patchouli. That first burst of aromatic patchouli that you had in the opening starts to tone down, moves into the background, and now you get lots of that earthy grounding coffee with something almost like oak moss a little bit. And to me, the woody accord here feels, you guys, it doesn't feel like funky per se, even though it actually does have a funk, but not like a barnyard type of funk, you know, or like that pungent, sour, acidic, fermented, specific funk of Hindi style of wood. No. It has a slight funk in a sense, like a balsamic funk, if you know what I mean. Very interesting. It feels very deep. It almost feels very like thick, you know, something like thick and gooey, like that's dripping a little bit, but it's very like dense texture-wise. Yeah, this is how it smells like to me. But it feels very balsamic, and I feel like what all these notes create here is this beautiful earthy grounding take on coffee. And I have to say, I haven't smelled something like this. But keep in mind, I feel like they really went in the creative side. By the way, for all the for all the fragrances, I will insert the perfumers as a reference. But the perfumer of this fragrance really did something different with coffee here. I feel like the only thing that I feel like it has slight resemblances to, even though they don't smell alike, is with the fragrance from Ajmal called Kaffia 1. I always mix up Kaffia 1 with Kaffia 2, but it's the one with coffee and oak moss. But there you also have some like really cold abstract white florals in the background. That one is a little bit different. There you also have cardamom. Here you legit have this like beautiful earthy. It's almost like I said, like if you were to close your eyes and you were to imagine that, let's just say it was raining heavy that prior night, then by whatever reason you were to go to your garden and you have like there a patch of soil that it's not covered with grass, you know, and you would drop there like your coffee beans, like your roasted coffee beans, and then you would lean in to smell them and you would get all those beautiful complex nuances. This is Coffeeze, I feel like. And as it develops, it does get a little bit sweeter, you guys, but it's almost like, it's like a balsamic type of sweetness, you know, it's like this balsamic resinous type of sweetness. It's not your gourmand type of sweetness, so don't expect this one to be like your intense cafe kind of coffee scent, because it's not. This, I don't know why, but I would picture this fragrance on a brunette man. Like, maybe it's because it has this mysterious aura about it. It feels very mysterious, like, and quite raw scent-wise, quite raw. But it's something that I appreciate about it, because they really didn't like clean it around the edges or like unnecessarily sweetened it up, you know, just because sweet coffee fragrances are a thing now. I feel like they made it bold and loud and mysterious and raw. And if you are looking for a take on coffee like this, get a sample of this one and test it for yourself and see. But I'm telling you, it's something else to me. So yeah, by the way, as a reference gender wise, I feel like definitely a unisex, but would I wear it? I don't know if I would wear it, you guys. I feel like for me, I would feel the need to layer it with something, but I feel like this is the kind of fragrance that if you layer it with anything, it's almost like you lose the thing that makes it so brilliant, in a sense, this raw aspect about it. I don't know. I could pull it off with something like this, like an all black outfit, maybe if I'm feeling very like assertive one day, you know. But I feel like as a reference, I would prefer to smell this one on a man. Yeah, definitely on a man. Let's move on to the next fragrances. I feel like I'm spending too much time talking about each one of them. Let's move on to a fragrance that took me by complete surprise, you guys. I was not expecting to like this fragrance as much as I do, because I mean, granted, it has leather, but besides that, it has like notes and accords that I like on a day-to-day basis. I'm definitely not a fan of them. But when I tried this fragrance on my skin, I don't know, again, it told me a story in a way. I don't know. It spoke to me. This next fragrance is called CUIRISSIME. CUIRISSIME, I think it's called. It's something like leather, something like this. This one I actually want to apply it on my skin. This fragrance, again, I will insert the perfumer here, but the perfumer really played with your senses when it comes to this fragrance. You have so many contrasting facets here. You guys, if I were to say like in a simplistic way how this one smells like to me, do you know the way Bvlgari does their violets, their irises, so in a very like womanly, sophisticated, but like slightly motherly, but very like effortlessly elegant way? I feel like that's the Bvlgari style. Now imagine they took that DNA and they added a hefty dose of leather here, and they overall stretched it in a way that made it very like creative, artistic, outside of the box kind of fragrance. You have here a pair that I feel like personally I haven't met, or like I haven't came across in lots of different fragrances. You have here this. So the first thing that I smell when I smell the fragrance, I smell lots of violets. The violets are sweet, but I can't say they are particularly, or they are your typical candied violets. Even though, keep in mind, they do have some sweetness, but it's more like a floral sweetness. So you have the violets on one hand, then you have this beautiful aroma of, imagine the smell of a damp, fleshy green leaf, or more of them actually. Damp, fleshy green leaves. So it feels very raw, slightly crisp, somehow relaxing without being aromatic, but it's relaxing because it smells like nature in a sense, you know? So you have these two so far, and then as you smell it, you get a beautiful, almost like fumet type of leather. I can't say that it's like your new leather bag, new leather shoes, like that freshly pair of leather shoes type of leather. It's a leather accord that feels very rich and almost has a slight fumet funk undertone to it. Now, tell me this is not creative. Tell me this is not creative, because I find it so creative. You have the violets with that like raw, fleshy green stem, or like stem. Yeah, I think more stem than leaves, honestly. More stem, because leaves are a little bit herbal as well in a sense, whereas in my mind, stems are more like, you know, and then powdery iris in the background because it's slightly powdery, and a hefty dose of musk here. So it's very interesting because the scent per se, it's not like your Coffeeze. It's not like this one that it's very deep, earthy, grounding, mysterious, dark. No, this feels quite bright, quite round, very round around the edges, if it makes any sense. But you have that leather that adds funk, but I can't say that it adds depth particularly, because it's not your dark fragrance per se. It's such an interesting combo, I'm telling you. Every time I smell it, I don't know, I'm shocked in a sense by how they pair these accords. It also feels quite dewy, quite damp, but not damp like patchouli damp. No, it feels wet, it feels aquatic in a sense, but not your fresh type of aquatic, you know? It feels like it's almost like the rain would fall onto some leaves, onto some flower stems, and you would get that like after the rain smell mixed with that fleshy green stem smell, you know, from flowers or certain more like fleshy leaves. This is the kind of aquatic that I'm talking about. And with the powdery iris nuance in the background, I'm telling you, this is so unique. I'm not really sure what's the word in English, but you have two very distinctive, opposite almost scent profiles put together and blended in such a way that it creates such a unique and artistic fragrance. You have on one hand that Bvlgari-esque type of energy about it, that effortlessly elegant, womanly, motherly, even a little bit. I don't know why, but I associate Bvlgari fragrances with, I mean, those, to be more specific, those irisy violet Bvlgari fragrances with a warm mother-like energy, you know. But then you have the leather that adds a whole different energy to the fragrance. So it's a very interesting twist, you guys. Yeah, is it something that I would wear? I don't know if I would wear something like this. I feel like, yeah, I don't know, you guys. I don't know if I would wear something like this per se, but I'm telling you, this is very unique. Again, very unique and very outside of the box. I'm telling you, it's almost like you take the DNA of Bvlgari and some I don't know, some artist were to like deconstruct it and then reconstruct it in a whole different way, you know? This is the feel it gives me. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful fragrance, beautiful. The leather, keep in mind, I feel like you need to appreciate leather, because the leather here, it's present, you guys. It's definitely present, it's definitely strong. Now let's move on to the next fragrance, and let's move on to let's move on to Sexycrush, because this one, surprisingly, when I read some reviews for this one on Fragrantica, a lot of people were bashing this fragrance. I don't know why, honestly, per se they were bashing it, because to me this is a beautiful scent DNA. If anything, I feel like this is my comfort zone when it comes to fragrances. This smells like a fragrance that's so dear and close to my heart. It's unfortunately discontinued at the moment. This smells very similar. I'm not saying that this is a dupe or anything like this, no, but this is definitely like a distant sister or like a cousin to Calligraphy Rose from Aramis. So, but with a twist of its own. So to me, this, but slightly more woody. So it's very interesting. The fragrance, as I'm smelling it, keeps changing and changing and changing, but this opens up with a beautiful myrrh-like sweetness and warmth. So imagine a very beautiful resinous opening. You have that specific myrrh-like sweetness. It's very warm. It exudes warmth and heatness. Almost this fragrance feels heatness. I don't think that's a word. It exudes heat. Sorry. This fragrance legit feels hot. It feels like it's on the stove. You know, it feels like it emanates heat from it. It feels so beautiful. And of course, this is a rose-based fragrance. Like, what's new when it comes to me? I like what I like. But basically, what I feel like makes this one stand out. You know, I've tried dozens of rose fragrances, perhaps not even dozens, much more than a dozen. And I feel like here you have that distinctive quality you have that distinctive pair, between a very beautiful, warm, resinous-like nuance from the myrrh. It feels myrrh and benzoin to me, so they feel very rich, very dense, very warm. Like I said, they emanate or like they radiate this heat about them. It's almost like it gives it makes this fragrance legit feel warm when you smell it, you know. But you also have a beautifully done red rose accord. The red rose accord feels very rich as well to my nose. I'm not really sure if it's a red rose or if it's a very, very like pink rose absolute, like the rose damascena or something like this, you know. But it's a very full-bodied rose accord. Now, I feel like where this one goes a little bit into a direction of its own is you have this very pronounced woody nuance in the background that adds a slight darkness to the fragrance and a slight depth and richness, but it doesn't cut from the warmth per se of the scent. You know what I mean? Whereas Calligraphy Rose doesn't have that woody nuance, and that legit feels like you are melting resins, like you're mixing your own balsam. Yeah, like you make this like concoction between like myrrh and some labdanum and some benzoin, you know, like, whereas this one definitely has a rich woody feel in the background. And an oud-like accord, I feel like, is when I first smell it, I don't get oud. But you know, when I smell a slight funk, and I'm guessing that's the oud accord, it's almost like when I stop smelling it, the last second of smelling it before I don't smell anything in my nose. If it makes sense, you know what I mean? Like when I smell it now, it's now that I get the oud accord. You know, it's almost like the after smell that you're left with, in a sense, for those last few seconds before you don't smell it at all. That's when I get a slight funk. So it's very well hidden behind the other notes. I don't feel like the oud is the thing that will hit you. This is first to my nose. You have the resinous quality with the warm, then you have the rose, then you have the oud-like accord in the background. And again, I don't know if it has listed saffron or anything, but I get this sensation. Sorry, I think I have a cat hair here, but I'm not sure. It has this sensation that usually I find it in fragrances that have lots of saffron in these kind of combos, but it feels like something that's like hot, fiery, you know. This fragrance legit feels hot. It legit feels ultra warm, fiery, red with resins. So this is the feel it gives me. It's very multifaceted, but it's very well blended at the same time. It's almost like all these notes, they like melt into one another, you know. It's almost like you melt some resins, like imagine you melt myrrh, then you were to add some rose absolute on top, and then you were to burn somewhere in the background like an oud chip, but like very deep in the background, and you were to have some like other woody nuances. The oud accord feel doesn't feel burnt per se, but it has it has a slight fumé undertone, but it's almost like you are struggling to get the fumé facet because it's so deep behind all the resinous layers. Let's move on to Spicydelice. Now, this fragrance, I have to say, to my taste is more masculine for sure, but at the same time, keep in mind, I am not one who appreciates green fragrances when it comes to fragrances that I want to wear, but this, legit, the first sniff that like when I smell it like this, it smells almost like mentholated in a sense, like mentholated, slightly herbal and spicy, but it's almost like, and lavender, why, I don't know why I smell something lavender like here. It's almost like you get this combo between lavender and mint that you have in fragrances for men, and usually that combo results into something that smells very aromatic, almost like a little bit mentholated, a little bit aromatic from the lavender, you know, slightly fresh, but that lavender freshness, yeah, you have something of this here. This fragrance feels like a two-in-one type of fragrance. You have this aromatic fragrance that could be like a whole standalone fragrance in a sense. Not that it's very multifaceted with lots of different facets, the aromatic nuance I'm talking about, but because it's so heavy and in your face, not in your face, but it's heavy and it's present, and it's the first thing that I smell when I smell this fragrance. And then behind the greenness, you have this almost like a little bit shy, spicy concoction with something vanillic-like in there. And when I mean spices, I mean ginger, but like powdered ginger, not like your freshly cut ginger. It doesn't have that like refreshing, energizing feel. It just feels like powdered ginger with clove. You do have something that smells like hot there, so I'm guessing it's the clove. A little bit sweet and almost like a little bit creamy from the vanilla, but basically if I were to deconstruct this fragrance to my nose, on one hand you have that aromatic facet, and on the other hand you have that creamy spicy feel. Now the creamy spicy feel of the fragrance, it does have sweetness to it, and that I feel like if it were only to that one, then I would feel like it would lean feminine per se, but because you have this very interesting overtone almost to the fragrance, this aromatic, very full-bodied aromatic feeling. So it's slightly herbal as well. As it develops, I feel like it loses the mintiness and it goes more herbal, but like a cold herbal feel. Yeah, very interesting. Cold herbal sensation for sure. You start to lose the mintiness there. But because you have this like aromatic facet that's very pronounced and it almost feels like an overtone to that other part of the fragrance, to me, I would say this leans a little bit more masculine. At least to my taste, it definitely does. But yeah, I saw some people compare it with Noir Extreme from Tom Ford, the Noir series. I see why. However, to me, because you have this, maybe I am more sensitive to the green aspect here, because I'm not used to green fragrances. It's definitely not my comfort zone when it comes to fragrances. Imagine if you have smelled Noir Extreme, if you have smelled this version of Noir for men, you have something from that one, but imagine you were to take 2 drops of that one and you were to take 10 drops of something aromatic, and you would put that aromatic facet over Noir Parfum, not Noir Parfum, over Noir from Tom Ford. So you were to smell that slight Tom Ford resemblance through that green herbal lens. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is how it smells like to me. Yeah, interesting, more masculine leaning. I don't know if this is the first one I would recommend you to try from the brand. I mean, if you're a man, I would honestly recommend you to try the coffee with the oud, because it smells very expensive and very, I don't know, very gentleman-like. I don't know, like a gentleman in like a suit, like a very beautiful suit, very elegant, you know, with a very mysterious aura about him. That's the fragrance. Then if you're a man and you love rose, this one here that I have, Sexycrush. I have one left. This is called BLOOMASTRAL, I think. Let me see. BLOOMASTRAL. Yeah, this fragrance, I feel like this, from everything that I've tried, this one here as well. From everything that I've tried, I want to say that is the safest one to try, but it's also the least creative one. But again, it's good that they have something like this for those who are looking for something like this. But keep in mind, I don't know, to me the brand, like where this brand really shines in my opinion, is when it comes to their ultra creative fragrances, like CUIRISSIME, this one here that has like violet and like something green and dewy, almost aquatic with the leather. Here I can say that is the most creative one because I have tried fragrances like this, not too many, because in my opinion it's pretty hard to do a very realistic, more like with beautiful decadent rose, you know. Even though you have lots of rose-based fragrances, it doesn't mean that all how to say, all embody this feeling of some royal, something royal, luxurious, like, you know. But yeah. Now, BLOOMASTRAL, let me spray it here. Or should I spray it on my skin? Let me think. Yeah, you know what? I think I would spray it on my skin. Yeah, I would spray it here. This is like a peachy tuberose. The tuberose feels quite creamy in a sense, quite yellow, like battery almost, you know. And with something soapy almost, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. You know what it smells like? Flor Narcotique Ex Nihilo, that peachy like nuance, or think that one from Afnan if you've tried it, La Flor Bouquet, that peachy nuance that almost feels like a little bit tea-like an iced tea, with a creamy, heady, rich tuberose, no greenness at this point. And you were to mix those two together, that's how it smells in the opening. You have this like cold, almost like peachy iced tea feel to it, but it's paired with a very creamy, buttery, heady, heavy tuberose. But the tuberose doesn't lean granny. Sorry for my hair, let me just put it here on the back. The tuberose here doesn't feel granny, yet it feels heady a little bit, you know, but not like organza. I feel like I always say not like organza because organza is like a whole different level of headiness. Yeah. And as this one starts to develop on your skin, you still have the peachy smell, but now you lost that like tea-like quality, like iced tea quality, and it starts to get almost like a little bit soapy. Imagine you were to have like a peach scented soap and you were to mix it somehow with a very creamy, slightly sweet, rich tuberose. A little bit powdery. You know what it smells like? It smells a little bit ozonic as well, like aldehydic. I hope this is the way you pronounce it. It has something like this. Yeah, it smells yellow, it smells creamy, beautiful fragrance, but I don't know if this is the first one that I would recommend you from the brand. Because of the slight soapy facade, you do have to appreciate soapy fragrances if you are interested in trying out this fragrance. But it doesn't smell soapy per se, in a sense that it smells clean, like your Miskel Tahara, like all this like clean your skin but better type of masks. It smells soapy in a sense that it smells almost like a vintage soap, you know, or like it smells like a boudoir in a sense, or like a vintagey soap or something like this. This fragrance does have a slight vintage aura about it. I don't know why. And also in the opening, but only for like a few minutes, it reminds me of Cinema from Yves Saint Laurent. Maybe it's the way they played here, the peachy nuance with the white floral, with the tuberose in this case, but I also detect a little bit of jasmine, honestly. Especially as it starts to develop, you start to lose the creaminess and the heady aspect of the tuberose, and it starts to become more like a breezy yet present jasmine to me. And it's interesting because you still have the peachy scent there, but the soapiness comes and goes. It's not something that stays there all throughout the development of the scent. So yes, you guys, this is how this fragrance smells like to me. Beautiful fragrance, can't complain about it, but it's not my favorite one, honestly. I feel like they have such creative and artistic and out-of-the-box kind of fragrances that honestly, if you're interested in trying out this one, I mean, why not? But it's not really the first one that I would recommend you to try from the brand, unless you are a die-hard fan of the kind of fragrances that I've described when I was talking about this fragrance. In that case, I think you do you know, of course, why not? So yes, you guys, those were my thoughts about these fragrances. Thank you for watching. Have you tried anything from the house? If you have, I would love to hear your feedback on the fragrances. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like it. This will mean a lot to me. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what fragrances have you discovered lately. Tell me what fragrances have sparked your interest. Let's all talk about fragrances in the comment section. So yes, also thank you so much to the brand for giving me the possibility to test their fragrances. Don't forget the discount code. This is the one. But anyways, I put all the discount codes that I have for various brands in the comments, not in the comment section. I put them in the description box, so feel free to check it out if you're interested in any brand per se. So yes, thank you so much for watching, you guys. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Here is my handle. I will see you in my next video, but until then, thank you so much for watching, and I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye guys.